Hello guys, John with you again, and it's time now for another update on our elephant from ITALERI. Okay, so construction is done. I finally finished all the construction, finished all the little bits and pieces that are to go onto it. Okay, all my texturing is done at the side. I have all the extra bits and pieces that I left off because I wanted to do the texturing. My last video, somebody commented that I'd left off these two little things either side here. Okay, and it wasn't that I'd left them off, it's just that I hadn't got around to fitting them yet. Okay, and because I wanted to texture up the sides here and things like that, and it was just to get it nice and free flowing. I didn't add those things on yet, so I did those here as well as the two here on the top. Okay, we've got one there and the same then on the other side. Okay, now we have our tracks dry fitted at the moment. I'm going to take them all off for the painting setup. Also what I added then was we added the holder there for the gun. Okay, gun lock or travel lock, whatever you want to call it. Okay, that was fitted. What else do we have to do? There was this the deflector there at the back. Okay, that went on. Couple of other little doohickeys went on. I call them doohickeys because I don't know what they're called, and I don't care what they're called, but they're little brackets and things. Okay, they all went on, right? So the next step now for this, it would be to start getting the wet stuff on, as somebody likes to call it, getting it painted. Okay, now what I like to do, okay, my preferred way of painting is I like to give it kind of an undercoat first. Okay, now some people like to prime their models. I use a sort of an undercoat coat. Basically, kind of covers the same purpose really. It gets a layer of paint down, which is handy which is easier then for other layers to go onto, and also it can show up any flaws that wouldn't really show up, you know, with the bare plastic, by giving it, you know, I mean, you look at that and you say, oh well, it's just grand, but you're going to have little glue shiny bits and things like that. So what you do is give it an undercoat, and by giving it an undercoat then you can see whether it needs a little bit extra sanding, whether you've got a little gap, you go oops, that needs to be filled, and things like that. And it's just a quick indicator before you start getting the final layers of paint on. Now, I know that, you know, if you are beginning and if you are a starter, you won't be using a compressor with an airbrush, but I did say that you pick them up very, very reasonably priced. You will pick them up very, very reasonable indeed. I mean, the compressor I have is no big super compressor. I'll kind of reach under the table there. I'll try and get it up onto the table. There we go. Oh, chunk. Okay, so there we go. That's the compressor I have. Right, it's got your compressor bit at the top. There's a tank underneath. Loads of dust because I keep it under the table. Okay, this side then over here you've got your regulator. There's a little call it a clock, little pressure indicator. It shows you what pressure you're using, and your hose. Okay, simple as that. They're not. You don't need it when these people say compressors. You think sort of this big garage thing. No, that's the size, and you pick them up online or in a hobby shop around the 100 quid mark. Okay, that's be it euro, dollars, pounds, whatever currency you use. They are not super expensive. And like I say, then when it comes to airbrushes, I've got two. Neither of which is a very expensive airbrush. Both are off. I got them off Amazon. They come from China. If you're willing to wait yourself a couple of weeks, there's no problem with them at all. And you know, they're double action airbrushes. I have this one I have it now 2 or 3 years. Never had any problems with it. It works just as good as the day I got it. And more recently then I purchased this one. Okay, same idea again. I got it from Amazon. This is the 1 Okay, so it's a sexier looking brush, but I think it was a tenner more than this one. I think I paid this one was 20 or 22 euro. I paid for this one, and with this one I got the hose, the braided hose, and three needles. Okay, and 3 little what do they call them? They go right at the front there. Nozzles. There we go. 3 different size needles and 3 different size nozzles. With this one, I got the same idea. I didn't get the hose, but I did get this beautiful little item here. Okay, slips onto that, and what it is a quick release. Okay, for the air pressure. Okay, nice and handy. Pull down and it pops off, so you don't have to go unscrewing things every time you want to go sort of change your brush. Same idea. It comes with 3 needles and 3 nozzles. Okay, and difference with this one is you can kind of adjust it without having to take the back off. You can adjust the air pressure with the front here, and it's got these lovely little see-through holes to make it look really good and, you know, fancy. But just the same thing. This is a K-Moon. And like I said, you pick them up on Amazon for around about 20-30 euro. Not that expensive at all. But if you're don't want to go down that road, or you just want to starting off, so you don't really want to sort of go off and buy a compressor or an airbrush and then find out I don't like it. For your first layer, you know, be it say an undercoat layer, or if you want to use primers, go out and buy yourself a little rattle can. You know, rattle can primers. Now you can pick up, say, a car paint primers. They work. I've seen a lot of people use them. Myself, I did buy the Tamiya one. Okay, little can, the Tamiya one at the start. Light grey primer, very, very nice. The Tamiya one is, I must admit, is really, really light, goes down beautiful. And I've also used a large can I got in my hobby shop, Army Painter. So there are plenty of them out there, and the rattle cans. The only thing about rattle cans is you can't really use them indoors unless you've got say a good ventilation, because they are quite pongy. And not only are they quite pongy, but it could be a bit, or should not say could be, they are a bit toxic as well. So you be careful if you are using rattle can. Okay, so I'm going to go off and do my usual. I used my compressor, my little Yoki Bobby. Okay, George, that's what I call it. So I'll use George, and I get down a nice colour. Now I go for dark colour. Okay, and the reason I go for dark colour is then you can, it shows off any flaws that you have in the kit. Okay, colour I use is NATO Black, and I got that whole idea from Andy's Hobby Headquarters. It's a channel there on YouTube as well. Go up there and watch it if you haven't already found him. And if you haven't found him, then you're not looking hard enough, to be quite honest with you, because he's highly recommended, and he's well up there with all the good stuff. And you get to see a lot of the new kits coming out as well, and he builds all them, and he goes, some nice hints and tips. But again, he's a hobby shop, so obviously he's going to show you all the products side of it. And of course he is, he's a shop, and he's trying to sort of push the products, whereas I'm a hobby modeler, and I'm trying to save money at every little every twist and turn, which is one of the reasons why I did go for the airbrushing, because when you hand paint something that size, you will nearly use a full the tubs of paint. Even like I said, for hand painting, Citadel is the one I go to. You can also get the model colour, and there's also Army. Was it war paints? What are these? Army Painter. Okay, so there's loads of different brands of paints that are quite good for for the hand painting. But for a kit this size, you'd nearly use a full bottle of it on that, okay? Whereas with when you're airbrushing, I'd get 3 of them out of 1 bottle of the Tamiya. So you're actually kind of saving a bit there with the Tamiyas, because paint goes on much thinner, and you don't really need as many coats and things like that, because you get a nice even texture throughout. But that's what I'm going to do anyway. I'm going to use my NATO black and get everything painted. Obviously I'm going to take the tracks off, they get a NATO black as well, and everything then just gets an overall spray of NATO black. Now we'll just push this aside for the second. One thing I did say that I was going to show you, okay, was another little tool in the arsenal, shall we say, the modelling arsenal, and that's stuff called fillers. Okay, now I'm after gluing 2 little pieces together here. This is just a back plate of a Panzer IV. I kind of sliced it a bit and stuck it back together again, but I left a little gap down the centre here, okay? And we're going to fill that gap, right? See it? You can see the little groove right down the centre there. Okay, now there are a number of things you can use for that, right? Now this is where products kind of come into their own to a certain degree. You can get Tamiya putties and this, that and the other, but it's basically all the same stuff. This is from Mr. Hobby. This is Mr. White putty. Okay, and it is a sort of a plastic based filler. Okay, it will work quite nicely. What you do is you get yourself, say, a bit of card, okay, put down your little bit of filler. I find I don't have a little spatula. I don't have one, so I find hobby knives are absolutely ideal for it. They really are. They're brilliant for it. Okay, so what you do is you get your filler a little bit onto your hobby knife. Push it down into place. Okay, bit messy, but once it hardens you can kind of sand it all off again. Okay, so there we go. Right, you can fill up your gap the whole way along with that. Now there is another way, yes, a cheap way. Yes, make your own filler. You say, make your own filler? How would you want to make your own filler? Using stuff that you already have. And believe it or not, the main ingredient in it is something that you normally throw away, believe it or not. Okay, so, well, not necessarily the main. There's 2 main ingredients. One you'll be throwing away, and the other you kind of you just have laying around, right? Usually when you get your bottle to me extra thin, when you get down to say that you've only got a small little bit left in the bottle, it's a case of, right, what do you do with it? Because it usually ends up dirty and stuff like that, especially if you're already gluing something that's already been painted and things like that. It gets onto that and it kind of dirties up your glue. But what you can do with that is you can get your sprue. Okay, when you got your sprue, you're one of these yokes. When you've all your pieces taken off that you want taken off, normally what you do with that then is you chuck it in the bin. So what you do basically is cut it up into little pieces like that and pop them in to your Tamiya extra thin that you've left over. Okay, and you'll end up then with this stuff here. Okay, commonly known as Spruegu. Yes, Spruegu. It's a goo that's made from sprue. Right, now there's 2 ways of using this Spruegu. There's one that I've been using from the start, and then there's one that I kind of discovered recently. It's a way of using it that I never even thought of, and it actually works better. Okay, now you can use it neat, straight out of the bottle, Okay. Try and do this in camera shot. So you'd load up your brush with it, alright, little brush that comes in the Tamiya, and just plop it down along like that. And again, same thing, just leave it dry. Now with the Spruegu, you have to kind of leave it dry overnight, I must admit. And if you try sanding it before it's properly dry, you'll notice it yourself. If you try it, it just kind of pulls away. It doesn't quite. It's a bit softer than the actual sprue itself. But if you leave it dry a good overnight, it will go just as hard as that. But one way to help this stuff go down, and it helps not be so messy, believe it or not, is by using a bit of ordinary extra thin. Give the area a nice sort of soaking with it first. Okay. Soak your area with your extra thin. Then go in with your Spruegu. You don't have to load the brush up so hard. And when you put it down, your Spruegu kind of just flows in. Okay. Flows into the hole. It's like as if it sort of sucks it off the brush and sucks it into that hole. Okay. Please don't take what I say out of context. Okay. And shall we say it does the same job as this one here, but as you can see, it's just that little bit neater. Okay. Ends up the same way. There's no difference whatsoever, but does the same thing, and it fills little gaps. Okay. And where would you have little gaps? You'd have little gaps. Say if it was a that's it. Don't freaking stick my finger to it. I don't have any on this, which is unusual for an ITALERI kit, that I don't have any gaps. But you might have a gap, say here, along where two pieces would join together. You might have an awkward old gap. Okay, and you want to fill it because you don't want to see the gap there, and that's where you use your fillers, just to get into those and fill those gaps. And like I said, this is my favourite. This is my go-to one. My homemade Spruegu filler. Okay, and like I said, it's just made from a bit of Tamiya extra thin and some off-cut pieces of sprue. And you can thin it or thicken it as much as you prefer, and after a while you'll get the proper consistency, because it's pointless me saying X amount of glue to X amount of sprue pieces. But how do you measure sprue pieces? Okay. You'll see it yourself as you mix it up. You want it to a kind of reasonably thick but not too thick consistency. Okay, something that will kind of flow into the gaps. And that is a little tip on fillers, and something to have in your modelling arsenal that is you will find that you will need. Okay, so you could start off, say, with one of those, your Mr. White putties, because you won't have any leftover Tamiya extra tin or the bottle to put it in. But as you kind of get into your modelling and things like that, you'll find out that you do go through your Tamiya extra tin. You get maybe 3 or 4 kits out of a bottle, maybe even 5 kits out of a bottle. But when you get down to, say, the bit and before you're ordering your next one, hold on to it, don't pour it into the next bottle. Save it and make yourself some Spruegu. You'll be glad you did. Okay, you'll be glad you did. Right, so that's it for this this update. One more thing before I forget. You will notice my antenna. Okay. What my antenna is made from is a piece of guitar string. Okay, yes, a piece of guitar string. Now I made a separate standalone video on making guitar string aerials. I will put a link in the description box below to that clip, to that video actually, and it shows how I make those aerials. Very, very handy. You can pick up yourself an old guitar string. You might even have one laying around, or again find a student. Yes, a student walking along with his guitar case in his school bag. So you've clobbered him over the head already, and you've robbed his highlighters, you've robbed his tweezers if he's got one, or she, and now you can rob their guitar. Pop off the strings and give him back his guitar, but just rob his strings. Okay, so great use for students there. Or if you are a student, you've probably already got these little bits and pieces. So anyway, lads, that's it for this this quick update. Don't forget to give it the old thumbs up. Yes, thumbs up. Or thumbs down. If you want to give it a thumbs down, then you give it a thumbs down. Don't let me tell you what to do. Give it a thumbs up. And let me know what you think in the comments box below, and any questions you'd like to ask me. Again, comments box below, and you can ask me anything you want. Anything at all. Modelling related, that is. So anyway, lads, I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you'll be notified as soon as I upload another video. I'll catch you in the next one. In the meantime, stay safe, enjoy your modelling, but most of all, go out and buy yourself a kit. Build it and enjoy it. And I will see you quite soon.